Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of NKU Sports Break. I'm joined by our head basketball coach, Coach Darrin Horn. Coach, how's your summer going?
Good, Carly. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking. So the season, it was a pretty exciting first year. Anytime someone gets to hang a banner when they step in the door, I'd say that's a pretty good note to end on. How are you feeling about your first year joining the Norse?
So proud of our players. I think there were some expectations because we returned quite a few guys, but truly it was a totally different team than the one that had won in the past. We battled through some pretty significant injuries, one to Jalen Tate and another one to Dantez Walton. And through it all, our guys had great attitudes and work ethics. And when tournament time came, they were clearly not going to be denied another championship. And so really feel fortunate to have the opportunity to coach that group. And I was quoted after the tournament as saying, and I want to reiterate it, probably the best thing that happened is they let us coach them. That's not always the case, when you take over a program that's won and has a lot of guys back. But they were coachable from day one, kind of let us figure out how the best way for that current team to win was, and bought into it and went out and got it done. So, the reason I came here was to win championships and continue to help our program grow, and to be able to do that in our first year was a blessing.
Absolutely. And it's heartbreaking because we had such an exciting kind of punch in at the end there with the Horizon League tournament. How did not having the NCAA tournament affect you guys specifically?
I mean, obviously on a personal level, it was just a big blow for our players, specifically our seniors. Those are guys that aren't going to get a chance to play in the NCAA tournament again. A guy like Carl Harris, who was a grad transfer for us, specifically transferred to Northern Kentucky because he thought he would have a chance to play in the NCAA tournament if he came here. And so just on a personal level, that part, kind of felt like a little bit of a gut punch. And so, I told our guys when we found out, Carly, that, we just wanted to be thankful that we got to finish our tournament, that we won it. And, we can legitimately say that we were NCAA tournament team that year because we won. Because it seems like, there's only 68 total teams that get in. And when they canceled the tournament, it seems like anybody that was close to the bubble was claiming, oh yeah, we were a tournament team, but we actually were. So, we have that at least to hold on to and be proud of.
Absolutely. I know that there's a lot of rivalry talk between everybody, and we go back and forth with Wright State all the time, and we hung the banner. It's a good year to be a Norse, absolutely. But for those seniors you had mentioned that aren't going to get a chance to go dancing, how do you go about recovering? And with all the new players you're bringing in, what's the dynamic look like next year?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be young. We're going to have a lot of guys that are either unproven altogether or are going to have to get into elevated roles. Those are the two things you deal with when you transition roster. Guys that were returning, being in elevated roles, and guys that weren't here at all having to prove themselves. And so, I think the positive thing for us is the guys that are returning were part of the championship team or part of the championship program. Those guys have been a part of multiple championships. And so you feel like you've got a good foundation with them culturally. And, as an example, a guy like Trayvon Faulkner, who's shown that he's more than capable of being a featured player, having over 20 points, I think 4 times last year. He slides into that spot of being a guy that, we think can do that every night, and then we'll count on to play at that level every night. Paul DeJoco, who was fantastic in the conference tournament, has got to be a guy that, not necessarily have to elevate numbers, in a major way, but play at the level he was at in the conference tournament every night. From a consistency standpoint. And then, a lot of new guys that are coming in that, we love our talent, we love our depth, but, they're just going to have to learn on the job.
Learning on the job is a big part of it, especially with injuries. And it felt like we never had the same lineup 2 games going in last year. And so there's always a lot of that flip-flopping. What kind of stuff have you guys been doing this summer just to get everyone acclimated and best prepare them to be able to play at that level as we move forward looking towards this season?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been limited. There have been some voluntary stuff. So they've been with the strength coach, Brian Booz, a little bit longer than they've been with us. We just finished our second week with them. We started on the 20th being on the court. a lot of restrictions with the pandemic. So essentially what it's become is a lot of skill work, a lot of individualized skill work. So we've been doing a lot of teaching, a lot of fundamental work, trying to start to lay the foundation offensively of how we want to play, not necessarily from an X and O standpoint, but just the fundamentals of it. So that's a good thing, because, at the end of the day, one area we really need to improve in is making shots and shooting the basketball at a higher percentage from three. And so this has given us some time, hopefully, to work on that and make some strides in that area.
Definitely. I have had the opportunity to talk to a couple coaches, and it seems like one thing consistently across the board that NKU has kind of excelled at is players want to be working. They want to be in the gym. They want to be getting those shots up and all of that stuff. And so all of the individualized work, I really look forward to seeing it pay off next season. It's great that it's one of those things where these players are so disciplined, like regardless of whether it's a scheduled workout or not, when everyone wants to be there, it makes for some really, really exciting sports to watch for sure.
Big difference. And our guys have been really good about that. They came in honestly in a better shape and a better situation than I thought, because everything was just so limited. It was hard to get in a gym anywhere or do anything, but our guys have done a really good job with it.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I'm going to end on kind of a little bit of a warm and fuzzy that I've asked every coach so far. I know it's only been a year, but it was a big year. So what is your favorite NKU coaching memory so far?
Oh, wow. I mean, I think it's an easy one. Winning the championship probably is an easy one for us. And I think as part of that, for me, this is my third time as a head coach, getting a little bit older, closer to 50 now than 40, Carly. And I think just the joy that I got from watching our guys, reach that pinnacle and the satisfaction that they had was, for me, really enjoyable, because, again, this was a great group to coach. And I'm excited because every year is different. Every team is different, even if you do return a lot of the same guys. And so, this year, we'll have another challenge, but the goal stays the same in Northern Kentucky. We want to be our best in March and win the conference tournament. And so that'll be our focus. So I'd like to repeat that standout feeling again this year if possible. And we got a lot of work to do. We could take some lumps and bruises along the way as our young team grows, but we're always going to keep that as our standard. So we're excited that we're at least back in the gym working towards that right now.
Well, hopefully when these interviews roll around next year, you'll have 2 Horizon League championships to pick from for your favorite memory.
That would be great. And I would add to that too, Carly, that, that the interaction with the students this year was a highlight for me personally. So much fun to be on campus. And, our last 2 home games, we had almost 7,000 for those games, which is a huge number in college basketball, and 1,000 students at both of those, I believe. And so, it's such an important part of what we do. And so I'm just excited to get them back on campus and have a chance to see them and hopefully be able to get some of them in the stands. We don't know what that's going to look like yet. But our time with the student body was something that stood out for me this year as well. It was a lot of fun. We've got a great group, and it's only going to continue to grow and build, which is really exciting.
I, as a student on the other side of it, look forward to it very much. Coach, thank you so much for joining me today. Everyone give NKU men's basketball a follow on social media, as well as NKU Norse for more content as we take on this season. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Carly.